Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be going over the scheduled, or more like impromptu scheduled, ban announcement from LSS regarding Classic Constructed and Blitz. I always get mixed up with these on like when they come out, because it's coming out from like New Zealand time, and being in the US, it's always a little funky, but it's really fun. But yeah, so we're going to get right into it. If you like this type of content, please leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Feel free to join the Discord down below with over 400 members, going strong, really active community, people talking in it every single day. And if you're a long-standing supporter of the channel, feel free to check out the Patreon and get my videos a little bit early. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. But yeah, getting into the scheduled ban and suspended announcement. This was kind of a, not contentious really, but kind of a talking point today before it got released. With the recent Pro Tour and calling events, Ranger obviously was a pretty strong representative of those tournaments. Lexi being arguably the best deck in the field, even though it didn't end up winning the Pro Tour event. Rangers seem to get a lot of attention because people were saying, should anything in the Ranger kit be looked at in order to help balance out the format? One thing I'll say before we get into this is that I don't think anything should have gotten touched, and as you can see right here, Classic Constructed had no changes, which I 100% agree with. Ranger wasn't even in the final of the Pro Tour. The best of the best in this game all got together last weekend and played, and Ranger didn't even make the final. So I don't think you should change anything for a deck or a class that didn't even make the final at the height of its play. Lexi is very good. I don't think Voltaire needs to be looked at. Voltaire is just a really strong weapon. Yes, it gives any attack go again, sure, but it also doesn't attack for anything on its own, right? So, and it costs one resource to load something in. Basically adds a resource cost on all of your attacks, right? So I don't think that needs to be looked at. Nothing like 3 of a kind. New Horizon definitely doesn't need to be looked at. It takes a really good pilot to use that piece of equipment effectively. It's just overall nothing needed to be looked at. So I'm really glad they changed nothing here. It says quite simply, the Pro Tour Baltimore metagame was diverse in both representation and outcomes. Lexi was the deck to beat it. Pro Tour Baltimore being most represented here in the tournament at 23% of the field, putting 4 players in top 8. Yet the metagame offered 3 Predators to Lexi in Dromai, Azalea, and Uziri. That's the cool thing about Azalea versus Lexi debate is, and I've said this before on Twitter and I think in some videos, is Azalea beats Lexi, in my opinion. A good Azalea main will beat a good Lexi main. Azalea's kit's just really good against Lexi, but Lexi's better into the field. Dromai is definitely winnable for Lexi, but it's not easy. And even Uziri can give Lexi problems if she is consistent with her disruption. And even Oldheim's really good against Lexi as well. It's a really tough matchup. So they ended up beating Lexi's out in the top tables, despite Lexi being 50% of the top 8. None of them placed in the final. So that was kind of the biggest thing. I'm glad they made no changes. I think this honestly is one of the healthiest metagames that the meta has ever been in. I still think that there's a couple little things they could look at, but overall, you can't really argue for anything to be banned or changed. There's no really Codex of Frailty is really the only card that's kind of super overpowered right now, but even that, it wasn't enough to drive a deck to end up winning. So I'm glad they made no changes with Classic Constructed. But now we get into the fun part, which is Blitz. Blitz they just went crazy on. So the following heroes and signature weapons have attained Living Legend status, which is Iceland and Oldheim both. So their weapons now get Living Legend status in Blitz, which is Kraken's Ether Vein, which Icelanders didn't really use anyway. And now Winter's Whale is now Living Legend in Blitz. So no more Winter's Whale in any format other than UPF, obviously. So that's kind of a big thing. A Rule of Honor article celebrating all the players who contributed points towards Iceland and Oldheim's ascension to Living Legend will be published in the coming days. That's really cool. I'm glad they're kind of call out all the players that helped out to get something to Living Legend. I thought that was really cool. But here's where it gets spicy. So in addition to the Living Legend update, the following changes to Blitz are effective as of May 5th. Drone Brutality is now legal in Blitz, which is pretty nuts. This was one of the most original cards in Flesh and Blood to get looked at. If anyone's not aware of what Drone Brutality is, just in case you're not, I'll do this on the fly because there might be some newer players in here. Drone Brutality was the first ever card, for the most part, banned in Blitz. or banned in the game period. And it basically is a red, yellow. It comes in red, yellow, and blue. Red attacks for 6, yellow attacks for 5, and blue attacks for 4. Blocks 2, costs 2 to play, and it says if Drone of Brutality would be put into your graveyard from anywhere, instead put it at the bottom of your deck. So basically, if you attack with this card, or you defend with this card, or you discard this, or have to do anything but banish this card pretty much, and it goes into the graveyard, like with Rhinar we use as a discard, it would go back into your deck. So this is like this was a super big way for people to just fatigue people out. Katsu used to use it back in the day in order to like control like Turtle Katsu. This was a big part of it overall, and it's just one of the craziest cards in the game, right? Like you're attacking for 6, and then you're putting the card right back into your deck. So basically, if you think about it at the simplest of terms, if you have 2 cards in your deck and you pitch one to play Drone of Brutality, you then put Drone of Brutality right back in your deck after it resolves, and then you can play it right again. So as long as you have the life to continue to play the game, you'll never deck out unless they can get that card into banish somehow. So really, really powerful card. It going illegal is going to be so much fun. I think can't wait to do it in my Ira deck. I'm going to do an Ira deck tech tomorrow to show what I would do with Drone Brutality in it. Either Ice Vein moves from suspended to legal since Icelander became Living Legend, which really doesn't do anything because no other hero can use that in Blitz right now. Crown of Seeds moves from suspended to legal. So now if you're a Briar main, you could use that if you wanted to. But really also with Oldheim going Living Legend, this card really doesn't matter anymore. And then Hyperthermia moves from suspended to legal, which is a little bit of a big deal. If Lexi's wanted to run it, they could, but really it's not that big a deal. The biggest thing was Drone Brutality. It's going to be really interesting to see what decks try to use it. I know off the bat right now, Rhinar can use it. Ira can use it. Katsu can use it. If you go Turtle Katsu, it'll be really, really good. Uziri could use it. Arachne could use it, right? There's a bunch of different decks that are going to be able to basically jam it in immediately. Their reasoning was Drone Brutality was the first card ever to be banned in Flesh and Blood on March 18th, 2021, so over 2 years ago. It's still true that Drone breaks the core design tenets of Flesh and Blood that every card counts. However, the difference between 2021 and now is general power level of Blitz has increased to a point that we may believe the way Drone breaks this design tenet is likely no longer problematic. So basically they're saying they're trying to give like slower, more control-y decks a way out to beat these really fast, crazy decks in the format. We're sure many players will be celebrating the departure of Icelander and Oldheim from Blitz, with both these heroes attaining Living Legend with this announcement. However, Icelander and Oldheim were the premier decks for slowing down the format, and we believe their absence is a good chance the format speeds up considerably. Returning Drone to the format is a nod to what hopefully becomes a new iteration of mid-range and control decks. So they're trying to help out the control decks because with Icelander and Oldheim leaving, Kano is going to run rampant. It's going to be crazy. Fi will still be pretty powerful in my opinion. You could even run Briar. Rhinar is going to be nuts. Rhinar's arguably probably the best deck in the format now. Kasai is really good at mid-range as well. And you could even jam these in the Kasai if you wanted to. So it's really like Kasai, Rhinar, Kano, I think are the top 3. So this is a way to kind of slow down some of those faster decks like Rhinar and Kano potentially. But the interesting thing is like Drone Brutality really doesn't do a whole lot in the Kano because unless you're running like Null Rune 3 and Spell Void, like Kano doesn't really care about that. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it really affects it, but the card itself is going to be really fun to play into. The next thing is Ultimate Pit Fight. Go Bananas is banned in official events only. Go Bananas is a fun and silly card, but in the context of playing UPF competitively, which really isn't the point of UPF, it functions as a broken pay-to-win card, allowing any deck to effectively break the 2 per deck card limit and play action cards that aren't even in the same class or talent as the hero. Go Bananas is hands down the most powerful card in UPF, as it's every action card in UPF. Power level aside, the reason we decided to ban Go Bananas from official events is the risk it presents to event operations. Makes sense. So it's really just a formality ban, just making sure everything remains smooth. The 2 biggest things for this is one, Icelander and Oldheim are gone, and the second thing is Drone Brutality moves to being legal. I'm going to do a Ira and a Katsu deck tech with Drone Brutality involved in it and kind of get y'all's thoughts. I'm super excited to play it just for fun. I have like foil Drone Brutalities. They're just sitting in a display pack, and I've never thought to use them. I just thought it'd be cool to have as the first ever banned card in Flesh and Blood, but now I actually get to play them. So that'll be really, really, really fun. But yeah. hopefully you enjoyed this type of content. Let me know what you think of the bans and changes. Would you have changed anything constructed? I personally am, again, glad that they didn't, but would love to hear your thoughts. If you like this type of content, again, please leave a like, comment, subscribe. If not, it's totally fine. Go to our Flesh Bug career, leave a like, comment, subscribe on their stuff so we can get more people seeing this game. And I'll see y'all next time on TCG Talk. Thank y'all so much.